Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today Houston Astros have beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-4 and win the series, getting the first two wins of this series, outscoring the Dodgers by a total of 24-5 in the first two games of this series. And the Astros win this series, and second straight year the Astros have gotten a series against the Dodgers, which is unbelievable for this Astros team. They had, this is what I'm just going to say, after the cheating scandal, after everything was found out about the cheating scandal, for a couple years, the Astros had some really bad struggles against this Dodgers team. But these last 2 years, the Astros have really started to dominate the Dodgers again. The Astros are now 4-1 in the last two seasons against this Los Angeles Dodgers team. That is great to see. And before last year in 2024, the Astros didn't have a serious win against this Dodgers team since 2018. Sure, in 2019, they didn't face the Dodgers. In 2020, they faced them in two series, but both of them were two-game series, and they won. They got swept in one of them and tied in the other. 2022, they didn't play the Dodgers. 2023, they did, but they didn't win the series. And then 2024, you saw last year in Houston, were able to win the first two games of the series. Alex Bregman had an awesome walk-off home run, and then they lost the finale and won 2 of 3 last year against the Dodgers. And look, I think this year's series win is more impressive because I'm not trying to give excuses to the Dodgers, but last year the Dodgers were a very unhealthy team. They didn't have things figured out. And I'm not saying the Dodgers aren't, I'm not saying the Dodgers aren't injured right now. They've got their injuries, right? Blake Snell's down, Glasnell's down, Max Muncy just got hurt. I'm not saying they don't have their injuries, but the Astros, I think, last year when they were playing the Dodgers in July and had the success they did against the Dodgers, they're a lot healthier then than they are now. Right now, they're without Yordan Alvarez. They're without Jeremy Pena. The pitchers they're without. All these arms in the, pitching-wise they're without. You can look at some, I know they're bench players, but these are bench players that would be playing more time with guys like, Yordan and Pena out. On the infield, a guy like Brendan Rodgers, I think, would be playing a lot more right now because with Brendan Rodgers' injury, Altuve has been more at second than left field. Rodgers being hurt, Luis Guillorme, Zach DeZenzo, Chas McCormick all being hurt. And those are guys that would be playing potentially more. But instead today, a guy like Zach Short is starting because of these injuries the Astros have. So I think this series win is a lot more impressive than last year's because this is on the road, and the Astros are definitely a lot more injured last year facing off against this Dodgers team than they were last year. And then the Dodgers are a lot healthier right now than they were this time last year when the Astros faced them and played well against them. Now, look, another thing I'll look at with this game today, with the Astros getting the win, 6-4, is that the Astros are now over 500 on the road. That has been a massive struggle for the Astros this year. But they are okay, this is road game number 43, 22-21. The last time the Astros were over 500 on the road was Game 5 of the regular season against the Seattle Mariners. Took them to 3-2 on the road in Game 5. Since then, you've not seen you saw them get to 500 on their 8th game. They were 4-4, but you've not seen them over 500 since Game 5 of the season on the road. That is crazy. But they have done it now with this win, 22-21, 54-35 overall. Look, I thought to my head before this game started, trying to see what the Astros are what their movement is right now, trying to get to the 1 seed in the American League. I said to myself, one or two things is going to happen today before the Astros played this game. I said to myself, either the Astros are going to lose this game today and the Tigers are also going to lose, or the Astros are going to beat the Dodgers and the Tigers are also going to win their game. And the Tigers won 1-0 today. The unfortunate thing is tomorrow, the Astros trying to catch up to the Tigers. They're 1.5 games back from that 1 seed. The Tigers do have Skubal on the mound against a really struggling Guardians team. That is not a good matchup. But that was the game. That was the team he had his complete game against. So that is not great for the Astros' chances tomorrow trying to catch up to the Tigers at the 1 spot. But the Astros go to 54-35 with the win today. Look, another thing is the Astros give the Dodgers their first time getting back-to-back losses since the beginning of June. It was like, I think the announcer said today was the first time since like June 2nd and June 3rd the Dodgers lost back-to-back games. So first time in a month that happened. That is great. Let's go over some stats in this game. Before I go to the stats in this game, anybody listening, at times did it feel like this game you just couldn't watch this game? Because that's the way I felt. Like they played a great game today. I'm not saying the Astros didn't. It's not the way they played, but the announcing of this game just got on my nerves. I really like the play by Joe Davis. I really like Joe Davis. He's a outstanding announcer, but he couldn't be more of a biased guy to put out there on the call, being the guy that is calling Dodgers game. He's the guy that's calling Dodgers games 85% of the time, you could say, possibly. This broadcast felt so biased. I mean, the first couple innings where Shohei was pitching, I felt like they were picking up every word in the dictionary to describe him as a player. It was just, look, and there wasn't enough talk. I think at times there wasn't enough talk about the Astros tonight. And honestly, during the game, I don't feel like I heard enough of the Astros' performance last night. They talked about it before the game, but they didn't talk about it during the game at all. And I thought this was a very biased broadcast, but it is what it is. But let's go over the stats of this game. 6-4 is the final score. 9 hits for the Astros, 9 hits for the Dodgers as well. 1 error for both teams as well. Win goes to Framber Valdez, 10-4. The Astros he's now won 9 straight starts. The team has won 11 straight outings that he's pitched in. This was not Framber's best night. And you're not going to see a great night from a guy like Framber Valdez, even though he's been great, but he's facing a better offense. This is one of the best offenses in the major leagues, and so that's a tougher challenge for Framber. I mean, yes, he's been fantastic in his last 10 starts, 1.72 ERA, averaging a little bit over 7 strikeouts per outing, but it's going to be a little bit harder of a matchup for Framber. We're talking about a guy that had not given up a home run since May before this outing. He gave up 2 today. So I think that just shows of how much of a harder matchup this is. And you can't say, Framber hasn't faced any talented teams. Framber in the last week, or a little bit over a week, has faced both the Cubs and the Phillies. And he dominated those 2 teams. So I think it just shows it shows how good the Dodgers are. Dominates the Cubs and the Phillies, and then he's got to face the Dodgers, and it's a little bit more of a challenge for Framber. You haven't seen a bad start like this for Framber in a long time. Probably this worst start since his start that he had in Chicago against the White Sox. But still, Framber Valdez manages to have a great outing, even though there was some trouble. He was really hurt by the Miguel Rojas home run, the 2-run shot, but still is able to, go 6 innings, get a win because of what the offense did, pick up 7 strikeouts. A team that is very good with gaining walks, only gave up 2 walks. I was impressed, even though I thought this was a worse start by Framber than what we've seen usually. You're going to see starts like this. It could have been worse, but I think thanks to the offense and what they did today, it's not that bad with Framber Valdez's outing today. Loss goes to Robleski. He's 4-3 on the year now. 4 2/3, giving up 4 runs, 7 hits given up, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. It was a bad outing after comes in for Shohei, which wasn't the best. I mean, look, what I will say with Robleski, he gave up 5 runs and 4 earned runs. He came into the game, the first inning he pitches, he gives up in the 3rd inning, gives up 4 runs. Then the rest of his outing goes 3 2/3, gives up 1 more run. He had a terrible start in this game with Robleski, but it got better. So that's the one thing I will say about him. It was a nice bounce back he had after it. He picked up 6 strikeouts against a team that does not strike out a lot. That was something this Dodgers team did really well today with their 2 openers, Shohei and Robleski, and combining for 6 2/3, picked up 9 strikeouts, which the Astros are really good with not striking out, and that's something Robleski and Shohei did really well today in their work. Save goes to Josh Hader. One of the first times this year he's gone in the 8th and 9th. We've seen Hader go in the 9th and 10th a couple times this year. 3 times this year, I think Hader's done that. And you saw him do this last year where he pitches in the 8th and the 9th. But I think Joe Espada made the right call, picking Josh Hader to come in the 10th inning. In the 8th inning and the 9th, because Brian Brady was struggling a little bit, and I thought that was the right call by Joe Espada there in a 6-4 ball game with 2 runners on base against the 9 hitter, and Josh Hader gets it done. I thought for starters, I thought it was a dumb decision by the Dodgers to, you know, bring in a pinch hitter for Miguel Rojas. I know he's not great, but was having a great day. 2 for 2 with a single, RBI single, 2-run home run, a walk. But they brought in Ruiz as a pinch hitter for Rojas in the eighth inning. I thought that was dumb, but Josh Hader gets another save, 25 saves to open up the season without blowing one. Hader's ERA now is 1.80. His first time pitching in this series. All right, scoring summary. It started off with a Betts home run, then a Rojas single, RBI single, 2-0. 2-0, it felt like the Astros' day was not going to be very good because, look, you've seen in the past the Astros offense really struggle the day after having an offensive performance like they had yesterday. And that was not the case today. It starts off with a Zach Short RBI double. The 9 hitters today were getting it done, both for the Astros and the Dodgers. You look at Zach Short and Miguel Rojas, the 9 hitters were getting the job done. 9 RBIs for both teams today. And Rojas had a total of 3, and Short had 2. 5 of the 9 RBIs in this game were by the two teams' 9 hitters. But Short hits the RBI double down the left line to make it 2-2. Then Smith infield single in the third inning, and it's 2-2 after that. Short was able to score in the throwing error. Unfortunately, Smith does not get the RBI off of that, and it's 3-2. But the error went to Rojas. So the 9 hitter was responsible for that run scoring. But then you see Christian Walker. Third inning, single to center. Smith scored 4-2. Then fourth inning, home run for Yainer Diaz. He was due for one. 405 feet for Diaz, 5-2. I said it before the game. He was due for one. And I was upset at myself I didn't bet on it, but that would have been a crazy bet to make. Fourth inning, Miguel Rojas, home run to center. 493 feet, Edmund scored. So it looked a little bit scary for the Astros, but everything was okay because then Altuve hits a triple. Great speed by Altuve. This is one of Altuve's first triple in a while for Altuve. He didn't have any last year. He did have 2 in 2023. Going back if you look from 2020 through the first, 88 games of this season, Altuve in those 4 or 5 seasons has only picked up 3 triples. And so triples have been more rare for Altuve. They were in the beginning of his career, Altuve was a lot better at getting triples, but as he's got older, it's been more rare for him. Last year didn't have any. The year before that only had 2. So Altuve picks up a rare triple for Altuve, which was his only hit today, and Caratini was able to take advantage of that triple and brings in a sac fly to make it 6-4. Good RBI by Caratini. And that 6-4 scoreboard really helped because the Dodgers in that 8th inning, the next inning had 2 runners on base. Shohei hit a leadoff single in the 9th inning. So who knows what would have happened if it remained a 1-run ball game. But let's go to the Astros hitters today. Isak Paredes went 2 for 4. 2 singles for Isak in the first and 7th inning, his first and last at bat. Cam Smith, I talked about his infield single that resulted in a run due to the error. That was it for Smith, going 1 for 4. Altuve, his batting average is now 11. This is crazy. 11 points better than Kyle Tucker. Because Tucker's batting Sorry, my bad. It's 10. Tucker's batting 282 after today's game. Altuve's 1 for 4, triple. That was it for Altuve. Walker 1 for 4. This is a bad game considering how good he played. He plays in Dodger Stadium. His 6-game streak of home runs at Dodger Stadium is now ended. It would have been impressive if it went to 7, but he still gets an RBI. He's been an RBI machine recently. He had 3 yesterday. I believe it might have been 4, but he had 4 hits yesterday and hit another RBI today. RBI single in the 3rd inning for Walker, 1 for 4, batting 232. But you look at it for Christian Walker, and since the start of his road trip, his batting average has gone up 18 points. This road trip started, he was batting 214. Now it's gone up all the way up to 232 when Walker's now played teams that he was more used to playing in the Dodgers and the Rockies. teams that are division rivals of his old team, the Diamondbacks, and it's been great to see. At this time, I really, with how good Walker's been in these last 2 series, I really wish the Astros were in the NL West, but same time, that'd be a hard schedule for the Astros. But Caratini was 0 for 3. He did have a sac fly, but first 3 at bats were strikeout swings. But everybody remember he had a grand slam yesterday. Yainer Diaz was 1 for 4 today, hit his home run. That was it for him. Cooper Hummel was 1 for 2 today. And he hit a single and a walk. That was it for him. Trammell was 0 for 1 replacing him. Dubon was 1 for 4. He had crushed a double to right off the wall in the 3rd inning. Zach Short had his RBI double. That was it. The Astros had 9 hits today. The only guy to be in multi-hits was Isaac Paredes, but this was a day after having 20 hits. I think 9 hits and 6 runs in a win is not bad after putting up 20 runs. 18 runs and 20 hits. But I talked about Framber Valdez and Josh Hader's work today. Bennett Sousa pitched the 7th inning, gave up a hit, but gets a strikeout, and his great season continues at 1.89 ERA now. Abreu did struggle, giving up a walk and hit a batter, and he was only able to get 2 outs of the 7th. I think the 8th. The good thing about this is Abreu, if you would have made his night any longer, with Abreu, it would have made it where maybe tomorrow he wouldn't be available. Hader, with his 24 pitches today, might not be available tomorrow. I mean, you might be able to pitch him tomorrow because they have the off day Monday, but Abreu, could be available to the Astros tomorrow if they need him. And so it's just things weren't going right for Abreu today. Joe Espada made the right decision bringing in Hader. He gives up 1 hit to Shohei Ohtani, who's been really struggling recently. Ohtani's like 2 for his last 15. But 1 for, 1 1/3 for Hader, gets 2 strikeouts, only giving up 1 hit to the greatest hitter in baseball, and the Astros win 6-4. You love to see it. Let me know your thoughts on the Astros 6-4 win in the comment section, and peace out, go Astros.